Hello, and welcome to the first episode of the Brandon Smith podcast. On this podcast, I was joined by Will and Mike from the Rhyl Fans Association. Obviously, with the sad news about Rhyl FC going into liquidation, it's been a tough time for the fans, and I wanted to get their perspective on it. It's not all doom and gloom. A new Phoenix club is in the works already. Hope you enjoy this first episode. If you do, subscribe and let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Also, go check out all the socials for the new Phoenix club. Enjoy the pod.
So I just wanted to start by trying to understand your connections with the club. How did you get involved in the first place? What is your relationship with Rhyl FC?
Basically, mine's a bit of a unique connection because I'm not actually from Rhyl. Okay. I'm from Denbigh. So I've been watching, I talked to my dad earlier, I've been watching Rhyl since I was 13 now, which is 12 years. So it's just by chance we used to go to Rhyl for shopping. It's Rhyl. It's quite a popular town. It's quite seaside town, as you know. It's sunny Rhyl, as you know. So, just by chance, we drove past. There's a football ground there. Are they playing football now? So we just simply drove in, and I don't know what game it was. If it was a pre-season game or the end of a season in 2007, I don't know. But we just saw a game of football there with Rhyl and against, don't know who it was, but here we are 12 years later. I've been watching season tickets, 10 years season ticket holder. Just don't know really. I mean, yeah, that's how it started really. Just haven't felt like stopping. So really.
Awesome. And yourself, Will?
Mine's slightly different. I used to be a massive Arsenal fan. But my son obtained a free ticket to go and watch Rhyl for his primary school. Sorry, that's my child just come downstairs. He won a free ticket through school to go and watch Rhyl play probably about 6-7 years ago. And since then, we haven't missed a game. My son fell in love with the place. So, yeah, we literally, like regulars now, aren't we, Mike? We don't move away from the place.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's an addicting thing, really. I mean, you meet some great people. And it's the best stadium in North Wales, apart from the racecourse, obviously. Yeah. But in domestic football, that's one of the reasons. The reason why there are many. I could list off many reasons why I've kept on watching Rhyl. I mean, the fans, the stadium. One of the interesting things to me, which is a surprise to me, is the kit. I mean, you don't see many teams who have a white kit like Real Madrid's. You can't really name that many. So, especially Black Short, it was just quite a unique thing, really, the kits, and there was just a bit of a welcome atmosphere when you got into the ground back then. It's just many things why you start watching a football club. And, you just fall in love with it at the end of the day. Yeah. So. Yeah.
You fall in love with the whole match day experience, don't you? You know your routine, you know what you're going to do when you get there. You get to the ground, you got your seats, you get your drink, you get whatever food you need, you speak to the same people, and losing that is very difficult. I'm a massive Swansea fan, which is very difficult sometimes, but obviously not as difficult as your current situation. It's the whole tradition of going into the stadium, seeing your team play and everything like that. Obviously, with the whole situation, it's very, very complicated what is going on at the minute. Can you explain to anyone who may not be aware of the situation what has really developed over the past few weeks?
Yeah. Mike, do you want to do it or do you want me to do it?
I think you're a bit closer with the situation than I am. So, yeah, if you go ahead on this one.
So what's happened over the past few weeks is we've come back to part of the liquidation. The reason behind this is for 28 years now, about 28 years, we've been leasing the grounds off a local gentleman. Each year we have to pay a certain amount with 6% interest. This year, I think we peaked at £24,000 plus 6 interest before we even kick a ball. So as you can imagine, it's a huge outlay. Sorry, guys.
It's okay.
Obviously, with the ground rent and then with COVID-19 kicking in place, we didn't have a chance to generate revenue through match day experiences, through tournaments. We hold all cup finals, local cup games. People love to play at Bellevue. It's an experience that people don't get every day. And like I say, we hold tournaments for kids come from Manchester, Liverpool. So losing that was a massive loss of revenue for us. And like I say, I think we've only played 2 games since Christmas at home.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a substantial loss of income for us. So there was no other option. The chairman approached us at Christmas time saying, listen, even if we do continue the season, prior to COVID-19, we needed £20,000. That's why we set up the GoFundMe page for £20,000. But the realistic cost was to continue and to finance for next year was £175,000, which with the grounds we have to have, or ground rent, plus we have to have a retainer of £25,000, which is it's £50,000 a year. So it's just not feasible to continue. So there was no other option but for us to wind up. Like I say, the ground went crippled us, but COVID-19 buried us.
Yeah, and as you were saying about Bellevue, it's a very historic ground. I've played there myself. Not that I was any good at football, but still played there when I was younger. Scored a goal there somehow it scraped over the line. But that stadium has a lot of memories for everyone. Connors Key regularly would play there in their European games. Lots of European nights for Rhyl over the years. I remember one game against Partizan especially well, quite a few years back now. In the Champions League. The club's been really, really successful, though. I was just mentioning before we went on about when they won the league. I think it must be in 2003-04, and I think they did an open top bus around Rhyl, and that was quite a while back. But I remember lots of people came out to see that. Do you guys feel that maybe the demise of the club starting to go down, was when the licence was revoked a few years back, so you were kicked out of the Welsh Premier League?
Yeah, it was definitely in 2010. I think it was around the time when Pete Parry withdrew his support of being, I think he was chairman, or basically he was a sugar daddy, as they call these kind of people, having a lot of money to put into the club and basically bankroll it. So once Pete Parry withdrew his support for personal reasons, that was the downfall. 2008-09 is when we won the league. Summer of 2009 we played Partizan. Then it was 09-10 was when we lost the licence. I've dug out some old programmes here, and the beginning of that season, actually in January, we had to sell a few players, namely Lee Hunt, our top striker. It was that season. You might remember the game we beat Bangor at Bellevue 5-1, where he scored that scream. I watched the highlights on YouTube the other day as well. We had to sell him. I think he went to Prestatyn, I think. But basically, because he went, just looking at the programme now, other players, George Haran, who's been Connors Key captain for a few years now, he left. A few other players as well. James Coates was a goalkeeper. Basically, you could tell when these high-profile players left in January that the money was going. So then it was only a matter of time. I don't know, you can say it was a matter of time, but as a fan, you don't really like to say that. But, you could tell that they were starting off then, really. Then the licence went in 2010. Another thing I'd say is maybe the support wasn't going down then, but obviously when you dropped down the league, quite a lot of fans did go over to watch Prestatyn. Because I think Prestatyn they were in the Welsh Prem back then, I think. Yeah, they were, because we played at Boxing Day. But yeah, it's just 2010 was the beginning. But as Will said, the rent's been a problem for a while. And it's just the fact that we don't own Bellevue. Yeah, it's just the crippling factor. Yeah, at the end of the day, money talks. So yeah,
it really does. Yeah, definitely.
I think the demise of Rhyl Football Club also was down to the fact that the licensing criteria back in 2010. Even still now, if you look at the likes of Prestatyn Town, they fill the league for the Premier League licence now. I think the expectations far too high from the Welsh FA. Considering the areas we live in, to have grounds that they're probably required to play in Welsh Prem and European football, it's not feasible. You don't have the fan base. It's not logical. It's not logistical. because the travelling, it just, it's not the right. I think the Welsh FA need to be looking at a stance towards things. I know they wanted to improve football, but putting money into grassroots improves football. Not having the TV gantry, which that's my personal opinion.
Yeah, and like obviously you got clubs such as Liverpool, Everton, Manchester United aren't too far, and you'll get people every week travelling over to Liverpool, travelling to Manchester, travelling to Everton, maybe a couple of League One, League Two teams which are just over the border, and going to watch them and not supporting their local sides. I know that last summer I've got a couple of mates who go watch Prestatyn regularly, and they said that a season ticket for Prestatyn was £70 for the whole season. I mean, that is just such a good deal. Like, why would a local football fan just not take that up? You know, why do we feel the need to go to Liverpool, to Manchester, to go watch these massive teams? I understand the allure of like seeing world-class players like Pogba play and things like that, but again, there's football right on your doorstep, and people don't go watch it. Although things were tough in 2010, you did get promoted back up in 2012-13, unbeaten, 24 games won, 6 drawn, scoring 100 goals. Did that think encourage more people to come back to the club?
Well, the thing then you got is people want to watch the winning side. That's the thing. I can just, it's, you know, if you're winning football games, you're playing good football, people are going to come watch. But then there's a few things. Problem with that is we had quite a lot of Scousers in the team, which some people didn't like. But if you're winning football, playing good football, that's the main spin to get people footfall through the gates, which then of course is revenue in the turnstiles, bulk sales. I don't think we had the clubhouse back then, but anyway, food sales, you know, programs, half-time draw. It's a lot of money. I mean, when you lose that, like going from, say, looking at this now, average from 400 a game, maybe to like 200 a game. It's a lot of money. I mean, I don't know how much they generate. Say 10 grand a game. I don't know. Maybe too much. So I don't know. But you know what I'm saying anyway. But it's just the fact that fans, they come for the good seasons, and then they just disappeared. Yes, it's there and there. It's good, but it's not really the fans you want. You want your die-hard fans who go home and away every game. But you know, at the end of the day, you need to make money, and if those fans come within a season or two, that's good, I guess. But yeah, the 2012-13 season we went unbeaten. Yeah, you could tell there was a bit of a good feel factor around the club, and more fans attending games. So yeah.
Yeah, and then obviously you stayed up in the Welsh Prem for a couple of years, and then unfortunately got relegated. And only didn't get relegated in 2015-16 because of Port Talbot not able to get their licence. Could you explain to anyone who doesn't understand about this licence how it works, and why is it such a burden for so many clubs in Wales?
Well, the licence, it depends on what you've got. I mean, if you've got a good stadium, then that's the first starting point. You know, so there's always the thing about having so many seats. I think it was at least 500 seats you have to have, or had to have back then. I don't know if they've relaxed that criteria. Probably kept it. I wouldn't be surprised. But it's just not just that. You've got to have an academy in place. You've got to have floodlights. Back then, not every club did have floodlights in the Welsh back then. Turnstile, not just like, you know, random two blokes on a gate, you know, it's a field, like I've been to many times following Rhyl. Proper turnstile. There's many things which, you know, you don't really get to know about, but there's the main reason why we didn't get the licence in 2010 was something to do with the finances. I'm not sure if we didn't file the accounts straight, or something problem with that. But again, another thing which Will mentioned earlier about Prestatyn, like just last week, not getting the license this year because they haven't got the TV. Or the TV guarantee they've got is not safe enough, or they haven't got planning commission in place to get a new one. You know, with COVID, they only put the application in back in January. There's a load of factors with the license, which, you know, you would argue it's too complicated. It's too far-fetched, especially with it's mostly a semi-professional league. I mean, the league's in place arguably, people, I read on forums all over the place online that people argued why not just have a South and a North League, like two separate leagues, and at the end of the season play off to, the winner of the Champions of Wales plays in Champions League. But apparently criteria, you can't do. I mean, it makes sense because you have 12 southern teams, 12 northern teams. More derbies, higher attendances, but also less costs for travelling, which is a big thing if you go into South Wales every other week for North Wales clubs. The thing with the criteria is if you need a 500-seater stand, that's going to cost you quite a bit. But if you're not getting the bums on the seats, shall I say, for the attendances, what's the point of having a 500-seat stand? I mean, you can even argue with Bellevue. Bellevue is technically it's too big for Rhyl these days. I mean, when's the last time we had over 1,000 at a game? I couldn't tell you. When's the last time you had 1,000 fans at a Welsh Premier game other than Rhyl? I couldn't tell you. Probably when when Bangor were there. I couldn't tell you. Probably when Rhyl played Bangor on that Friday night, first game of the season, about 5 years ago.
I think Carnarvon against Bangor a couple of years ago as well, wasn't it?
That's a good point. Yeah, Carnarvon versus Bangor. Yeah, but it's all leading to the fact that the criteria is too. It's too string. I can't think of the word now. It's too heavy. Let's say it's too heavy for smaller semi-professional clubs who they run on volunteers. You're not on a payroll. You're not getting paid by the club to help it run. But like Kevin Warner, Kevin Warner, who does the licensing for the football club. I don't know how hard he worked those years to get license, but it's just the fact that it's semi-professional clubs. They're not employing people to run it most of the time. Sure, TNS do it full-time, maybe Connors Key. But the rest of the clubs, when they're not getting big attendances, like maybe lucky to get 300 to 250, 300 a game, you don't really need to stand up for games. But there's a lot of factors there anyway. Yeah.
It's unrealistic. It's extremely unrealistic. It's, like I say, the financial implications of having that criteria. How people are still existing in the Welsh Film, I don't know. Because if you look at the gates for a lot of them, you're talking 100 people for most games as an average figure. You take the big clubs out the equation, so your Bangors, your TNS, your Rhyl, your Prestatyn. It's even when you go down south, Barry Town. Look how much they lost when they were when they ceased to exist. So I don't know. I think the Welsh FA are just. I understand the need the European places for the national team, and I just think it's something like you might. It's a semi-professional league.
Yeah, and I heard that the Welsh FA tried to support. Can you explain what that support was?
The Welsh FA wrote to us. Didn't wrote to us as the fans association. They wrote to the board, so they wrote to Adam Roach, which is the managing director, and they asked Adam what he wanted, what support he wanted. Adam was realistic and stipulated, well, we need this to finish off the season. And they come back and stipulated, I'm sure that's something they couldn't do due to the other clubs that would need to, they need to back every club in that way. So there wasn't much support whatsoever from them.
Did you expect more support from the league itself?
Well, the issue is our ground. The league can't support our ground, so the gentleman that owns it, we do hope he still comes round and finds it in his heart to reduce the rent so we can continue to play there next season. That is a dream. It really is a dream. And I think for 99% of Rhyl back at Bellevue, everyone has a connection to the place within Rhyl. Everyone. Like you say, you played there. Everyone that's got or they've attended due to a family member, or they know someone that plays for the academy. So I say the league couldn't do anything to help us. The only people that could help us was Mr. Butters, the person that owns ground, and he hasn't come forward, unfortunately.
You mentioned about the academy. I assume this is affecting the academy as well. What will happen to all the kids that were involved in the academy?
I would assume that the academy will cease to trade. The children will be about football. The children, these young kids, that we could lose the potential now to develop the next Ryan Giggs from Rhyl now. Because the academy is extremely successful. Look at the big teams that played. You got City, Manchester City, Everton, Crewe, and these aren't just a one-off. These are regular basis due to connections the academy coaches have built up. So this whole thing isn't just about Rhyl Football Club. They've taken this chance away from children, and that's what riled me massively. Because at the end of the day, these children, all they want to do is play football, and they've lost this opportunity to play at this standard. Hopefully, other academies coming into Flint, Colwyn Bay, Southampton Town, all come to help them. Because nobody wants to see anyone go without football, and especially kids. It's not fair on them.
Yeah, and you know, I've got lots of mates who were in the academy, didn't make it, but were still in the academy and now play at maybe a little bit of a lower level at Sunday League. But you know, being in the academy teaches you so much and teaches you so many important lessons, not just for football, but also for life as well. And the fact that them kids are now going to miss out on that seems really harsh and quite unfair. And there has been talk about a Phoenix club possibly coming through. Is that something that's already in the works, or is that just an idea at the minute?
Right, the Phoenix club is in motion. Okay, we have a new chairman, Mr. Tom Jameson.
Okay,
and we have Mr. Adam Roach that's taken up the MD role. At the present moment in time, they're still working on other committee members. They're in discussions and sourcing of ground, but obviously due to the criteria, we're going to be looking at playing at Tier 4, Tier 5 to start off with if we can't get Bellevue. So a Phoenix club will arrive. Football won't die in Rhyl, most definitely not. The Rhyl Fans Association have put so much effort in fundraising, the local community donating. It's been absolutely breathtaking amount of, people joining it, even though they're not fans of Rhyl.
Yeah.
So the RFA have had a massive involvement in this. Obviously, we're not setting up the club itself, but we're working alongside the new people. We'll tell them ideas. Recently, the members of the RFA have had the chance to name the new club.
Oh, fantastic!
Okay, so there was 3 options brought forward. There was Rhyl Football Club. There was Rhyl Football Club 1891. Then there was CPDFL. The members overwhelmingly, I think the turnout was 48% representing to keep the name as Rhyl Football Club. So the club will continue to trade as Rhyl Football Club. And it's a fresh start. There's a lot of new faces around, a lot of people of a lot of interest that will bring people back through the gate. So fingers crossed we can get Bellevue back and we can get these people there and people can see what it is. Because at the end of the day, it's the heart of the community. Like repeat myself, everyone has a connection to that place.
Yeah, exactly. And although we don't know when football will arrive, it's really exciting to hear that things are already in motion to really get football back into Rhyl once again. I just wanted to ask a bit of a different question to you guys about how this will affect you personally with the club now stopping. Because obviously you've committed such a long time to this club. You've gone there week in, week out. You travel down to places like Carmarthen and down to Barry Town, which is a heck of a trek. You're thinking 3, 4, maybe even 5 hours drive to support your team. How's it going to affect you guys personally?
Do you want to go, Mike?
What do you mean in terms of what like the Phoenix club starting lower, Brandon? Or me, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's all about football. I mean, if things with the we've got 10 core fans on the RFA. Now I'll name drop 2: Keith Ward and Graham Cartledge. I couldn't tell you how long they've been going over 5 decades, 50 years watching Rhyl. I think they've been going for so long. And I've been watching for 12 years. It's just so minuscule. But you've got fans from that range to my range. I'm only 25, but I've been going 10 years. So I can imagine how much more I've got to go watching Rhyl. Unless I don't know, you can't predict the future. No one predicted COVID-19 what's happened. But the thing I like about non-league, this kind of non-league grassroots kind of football is going to different places. So if we start in tier 4, tier 5, yeah, granted, they're going to be some real places you go to. Like, I don't know, I went to one place I'll name drop is Ross Allowed in Wrexham. Literally, it was just a field with a changing room and like a concrete stand at the top of the hill. Proper place. And real rough place as well, but it's the kind of places where you get your, like, I don't know, experiences and like I don't know. But the thing is with the fans, like I've met Will, Anthony, Loritz. I met only met Ritz. Ritz is the media man for the RFA. I only met Ritz about a year ago, but these are people who you're going to be mates with for the rest of your life, or your friends, for years to come. It's just. For me, it won't. As long as the Phoenix Club does happen, which we are started to, and if we start in tier 4 or 5, so be it. If we can somehow, if it's possible, but it depends if we get Bellevue or not. If we can maybe reclaim our spot in the Cumbria North in tier 2. Either way, for me personally, it doesn't matter because it's football at the end of the day, and it's good times and good mates as well. So, and that's really what it's about. Really. I mean, of course, you go and support your team through thick and thin, which is what I guess the last 12 years. So, it's going to carry on for me no matter what. As long the Phoenix Club starting up is the main thing. So,
awesome. And yourself, Will?
Me personally, it's my opportunity to spend time with my kids. My eldest comes with me to every single game. Everyone knows him. You go to any ground in Wales, people know him. Which Michael back up. He's been going since he was like 4 or 5 years old. So everyone knows him. So, and now my third child, he started to come and he loves it. He's absolutely devastated. He's only just turned 4, so he refers to it as a white football club. He doesn't refer to it as a real football club. But he wondered, trying to explain to him that the football club's not working or we can't go anywhere due to COVID-19. He's gutted because he absolutely loves the place. He loves going out. He loves seeing the lads. He loves having a sing song. He walks around the house singing songs even still now. He absolutely loves the place. So for me, I'm devastated that we're not going to be playing at that standard. But we will continue to follow, and we will be back there. It'll take a couple of years, but we will be back. Because, like I say, if my kids enjoy it, hopefully other people bring their kids, and they bring their kids, and we can get real back to where it needs to be. It's just keeping that community together.
And like with taking your kids, it's so important that you pass that on. Football's a brilliant game, we know that, but at local level as well, just to really get that passion for local football. Because as you said, with the academy, who knows what stars in that academy, who knows what they are capable of, and what they can go on to achieve. I just wanted to ask, do you think that, it's a bit of a morbid question maybe, but do you think that Rhyl is the only club which will possibly go into liquidation, or do you think more will follow with the current situation?
Me personally, I think a lot more will follow. It may not happen this year, but due to COVID-19, people are going to have to find the finances to back them up through next season and possibly the season after. COVID-19 is going to cripple a lot of football clubs, not just at our standard, right to the top.
Yeah.
If you look at the likes of, I don't know, I'm trying to think, the championship teams now that have all furloughed their staff because they can't afford to pay their staff. These are people that are still paying players 30, 40, 50,000 pounds a week, sorry.
Yeah.
And they're having to furlough staff. They obviously haven't got the finances to keep them going, because if they didn't have that type of finances, they wouldn't be furloughing staff that are paid £9.50 an hour. So I think it's going to have a major effect over the next 2 years on massive clubs, not just grassroots, semi-professional teams. It's going to affect massive clubs right across the world as well. It's not just going to affect this country; it's going to be everywhere, mate.
Yeah, we've already seen, like as you said, lots of clubs furloughing and losing their jobs, which is really, really sad. And what you want basically is football to carry on. You want people to still be in jobs. What about you, Mike? Do you think we'll see more teams beginning to struggle?
I mean, I think if anything, I'm a bit surprised that we haven't heard about more clubs struggling. I mean, real struggles have been years coming with us not been owning the ground. I guess with clubs who do own their grounds, it's not going to be as much of a problem because they haven't got the rent, which is a massive financial constraint. But I guess it depends. It's really a case-by-case basis by where, how are they financed? Is there a sugar daddy there who does bankroll them, like TNS with Mike Harris, Connors Key, Bauer? I'm surprised that more clubs haven't, but I know we must be probably the first ones to announce we have in the UK. I think there was that Belgian club Sporting Lokeren, I think, who did, who have gone as well. But I think it's kind of inevitable. But with the government's furlough scheme for the thing is what Will said, like Championship clubs where they are paying tens of thousands to players, like Derby, for example. I know they have furloughed their staff, I think. Let's say someone like Tranmere in League One at the moment. I know that if the furlough scheme, you get, I think it's 80% of your salary up to $2,500. So that might actually cover these lower league clubs who are paying professional footballers. So again, of course, that cripples the government, but it's the government. They've got a lot of money. So for football clubs, in that sense, I don't think it might not be that bad, but it's still the fact that these normally clubs like Wrexham, maybe they can maybe use that scheme as well. But it's the match day income. It's a big factor for Rhyl, but it's a big factor for other clubs to get to like 1,000 fans a game. If most season ticket holders, or if you're paying a tenner, 15 quid for entry to the match day tens, that's a lot of money. But I think again, like I say, repeat myself, but I'm surprised more clubs haven't gone yet. But I think it's kind of inevitable, especially these semi-pro clubs, maybe like Statin. I don't know how it's going to affect them financially that they're not in the Welsh Prem next season, wherever that happens, because of their license. But yeah, it's a massive thing that COVID's going to cripple clubs even more than they are already now. Like that's so.
Yeah, and I think it comes down really to, obviously to money, but the whole idea of this grassroots football now, I think it's going to be really interesting to see how clubs deal with it. But at grassroots level, I hope that people will now get more involved with their local sides, because it's so important that people do. And there's so many memories, as you said, Will, about Bellevue, about that stadium. That stadium holds so many memories for so many people. So many cups have been played there. So many European games have been played there. Do you guys have any idea what will happen to the stadium now? Do you think that will stay, or do you not sure what's going to happen with it?
We still hope to have the stadium back. We really, really do hope to have the stadium back. We know our previous chairman made a financial offer above market value for it, but the owner was still refused. I've heard whispers that he was willing to sell in 3 years' time when the lease ended. Hopefully now he'll take up that opportunity to sell. We need to be back at Bellevue. You can't see it turned into houses. It's not good. I know everyone says it's got a covenant on it, and it can't be. It can only be used for sports and recreational purposes. We have a local building company called Amwell. Look how many times they've had these overturned and built. Yeah. They have the financial backing. They can afford to take it to high courts and have things overturned. I really hope it doesn't happen. I really do, because they say everyone's got memories there, everyone, and it'd be such a shame to put some houses on there to see that heritage go. It's 1891 real reform. That's like I say, it's local heritage, and to take that away, it doesn't seem real. The possibilities there.
Yeah, and so many memories there, and my hope is that it'll stay, and that we'll still be able to see football there regularly, because it's such a good ground. First of all, it's one of the best, not just in the league that you're currently in, but in the Welsh Premier League. It probably is the best ground, alongside New Saints. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with it. Do you think this will change the outlook that people have on grassroots football in general in the area? Do you think people will get more involved with local football now, or do you think people, after this has all died down, will go back to their Liverpool, will go back to Everton?
You would like to think that people now would see this rallying cry that the RFA and Real Football Club have put out. Like, you would like to think people would jump on board. But people also have connections with Everton, with Liverpool, with Manchester United through their own family. So you wouldn't expect them to walk away from that. But people that don't have connections, they're almost begging them to come to Real Football Club, aren't you? To improve our standards, to bring back the chances for children, to bring back the chances for the women's team, because we're forgetting to talk about the women's teams as well. To bring back the chances. It's the football in the community. We have all the years we've had people that go there for food hygiene certificates, we've had people go there for SAA licences. We've had people from one of the most deprived areas of Europe, Rhyl, remember. So we've got a lot of people there that come to Rhyl to gain work experience. And that helps them out in the future. It helps them obtain jobs. We need that because it helps so many different people out. So yeah, I hope people do. It's not down to us. It's down to people to come with their feet and stand there and say, "Yes, we're here to support you."
Yeah, and that's what we want, is people to get involved in the new Phoenix Club that will hopefully be here really, really soon. Just to finish off, guys, where can people find information about the Phoenix Club once it starts going?
We have a Twitter page, which is Fans Rhyl, and we also have a Facebook page, which is the Rhyl Fans Association. Any information that we get will be put onto there. At the moment in time, it's still in a work, so there's not a lot of information going out. But joining the Rhyl Fans Association, which is £5 a year, we are giving our members a lot more information that's going out to the general public because they're paying members. So there is the option there. Say it's £5 a year, and you can join through either the Twitter feed or the Facebook feed. So as soon as we get information, we are getting it out there. Yeah. But at present, there's a lot of work going on. It's getting our licences, it's getting our registration. It's not just the Welsh FA now; it's a Rhyl and District League. So we need to be registered with all these groups. I think we've got to the 31st of July to get things formalised, I believe. So they hopefully get on the Twitter feed and the Facebook feed. Say every bit of information we can divulge, we do divulge. But say members also get that little bit extra, like they have the opportunity to rename the club. They have the opportunity to say if we wanted to follow or start a complete new Phoenix club. So it's the ball is rolling with the Rhyl Fans Association. In the late 80s and early 90s, it was extremely successful. We hope to replicate that model. We really do.
Definitely, and I will put all the links to all them different Twitter pages, the fans forum, all down in the description. And yeah, anyone who's watching, definitely go check them out and keep up to date with anything to do with this new Phoenix Club. I think that's pretty much everything. I do really appreciate you guys coming on and chatting and being so open about the club. And let's hope this Phoenix Club comes through really soon, and we can have football back in Rhyl as well.
So there you go, that's the pod. Hope you did enjoy. If you have, feel free to subscribe and get your comments down below. Big thank you again to Will and to Mike for their time and being so open and honest throughout the podcast. Make sure to check out their socials down below to keep up to date with any developments on the Phoenix Club. And if you guys have an interesting story that you want to tell, let me know and I'll try and get you on the podcast. The email down below. I'll see you soon. Peace.